In this video, we'll be talking about the difference between soft and hard lighting, how to achieve soft and hard light, and which scenarios you'd use for each type of light. So to start off, there is soft light and there is hard light. Soft light wraps around your subject and doesn't create any harsh shadows, whereas hard light does create those harsh shadows. I'm going to tell you something that took me years of learning on my own to figure out, and this is the secret of how to achieve soft light. Soft light is created by getting a big light source and bringing that light source as close to your subject as possible. Now, notice that I said big light source and not bright light source, because brightness has no effect on how soft or hard your light is. A lot of people think that brighter means softer, but that's not true. The only way to achieve soft light is to get a big light source, like this light dome, and bring that light source as close to your subject as possible. The further away your light source and the smaller your light source is, the harder the light will be. So take the sun, for example. Even though the sun is huge, because it's so far away from the earth, it creates hard light. But on a cloudy day, the sun hits the clouds and diffuses the light, making the light source bigger and closer, which makes the light soft. So now that you know the difference between soft and hard light, and you know how to make a light softer or harder, we're now going to talk about which scenarios you'd use each type of light for. So when you're trying to figure out which type of light to use, whether it's hard or soft, you need to know what kind of look you're going for. Soft light is the most flattering for the human face, because it doesn't create any harsh shadows like raccoon eyes, and it lights the face evenly, making it look beautiful and pleasing to the eye. So if you're shooting a fashion video, a comedy, or any other type of video that you want to be funny and beautiful and not harsh or dramatic, then you want to use soft light. Now on the other hand, if you want your video to be intense and dramatic, like a dramatic action or horror scene, then you'd want to use more hard light to create those harsh shadows. Generally speaking, soft light looks the best on the human face, and hard light looks the best being backlit. That's why your rim light or your hair light should usually be a hard light, and that's why when you're filming outside during sunset, you always want the sun to be behind your subject. Hard light looks better pointing into the camera because it creates interesting flares and it outlines your subject. Most of the time, if you shine hard light into your subject's face, it'll be way too harsh. So both soft light and hard light can look good hitting the human face, depending on what look you're going for. But I'd say for about 99% of projects, you'd choose soft light over hard light when lighting the human face. Another important tip that I've learned is that fog, haze, rain, and snow look the best being backlit with hard light coming from behind them. When I was first starting out, I shot a video and we used haze and it didn't look super good, and I was trying to figure out why, and it wasn't until later that I realized that it's because we were only using soft light that was coming from the front, so it was really hard to see the haze. Another thing to note while shooting with haze, it looks the best if you can have an object for the light to cut around to make streaks of light, whether that be trees, blinds, or windows. It's easier to detect haze when it's being shaped around an object. So before lighting your scene, ask yourself what the feeling is you're trying to convey, and that will help you get an idea of whether to use soft or hard light. Another important note is setting the direction of your light. The direction your light is coming from can also greatly affect the mood of the video. So for example, for this lighting setup right now, I have a big dome light about 2 feet away from my face, creating a soft light. But I also have it raised up slightly above my eye level and off to the side a little bit, which is lighting this side of my face more than this side. But I'm going to demonstrate what would happen if I were to change the direction of light hitting my face and how that could affect the mood using a small LED light. As you can see here, this light is coming from underneath my face, making it look spooky and creepy. This is because it doesn't look natural and we're not used to seeing a dominant light source come from underneath the face. And now you can see that the light is directly overhead, which is looking a lot more natural because this is how my face would look if the sun was directly over me. So with the human face, I found that it looks best having the light come from in front of the face and slightly raised above eye level. This makes it look the most flattering, and this is the lighting setup that I use for 99% of my shoots. But next time you're on set, make sure you take some time before shooting to position and adjust your lights and play around with where they're coming from and what direction they're facing, because even soft light can look dramatic if it's hitting the side of the face like this. So now that you have all this information, the most common type of lighting for the human face is the 3-point lighting setup, which is having one soft light close to your subject on one side, which is called the key light, another soft light hitting your subject on the other side, with this light usually being about half the brightness of your key light, and this is called a fill light, and then you have a hard light coming from the back of your subject, usually on the opposite side of the key light, which is called a kicker, a hair light, or a rim light. This is the most common setup, but there are plenty of different ways to get good lighting. As you can see here, I'm only using one soft light and it does the job perfectly. So remember that soft soft light is created by having a big light source and bringing that light source as close to your subject as possible. There are plenty of ways of doing this. You can shine your light through a big scrim, which makes the light source bigger. You can bounce your light off of a big white wall, which makes the light source bigger. Or you can buy a big dome light and move it as close to your subject as you can without it being in the shot. And if you want to create hard light, you can do that by getting a Fresnel light that creates a small light source and get that further away from your subject. It's also helpful to note that most Fresnel lights like this are brighter because the light is more focused. So if you need to throw your light a long distance, you would use a Fresnel light. That's why all the spotlights you see on stages are Fresnel lights, because the lights have to be far away or else they would block the view of the audience. And they're able to focus in on the stage and only light what's on the stage while keeping the rest of the room dark. So the most important thing is, now that you have an idea of what soft and hard lighting does, you can now experiment with different lighting setups to get the desired look that you're going for. But that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.